Liam, it's nice to see you. Has the international break been beneficial or frustrating given your most recent result at Derby?
I'd have to say probably a combination of the two. I think if you look at the first four games, Cup included five, I thought there's so many good aspects, so many positive aspects, a lot of pleasing things to come from it. So again, I think when you then finish with the result that we had in the second half performance, you don't want to get back at it. So frustrating from that perspective, but at the same point, really valuable in terms of opportunity to train, work hard. We pushed the guys really hard last week, and obviously been back in again this week, albeit with a weekend off. So we're in a good spot and we're ready to go Saturday.
As a journalist, I'm always told to look forward and not look back. But what went wrong at Derby when now you've had a chance to look back?
I think first half, arguably we should come in ahead. I think when you look at it, the chances we created, the areas we got into, potentially a penalty as well. I thought first half, scored against the run of play, which happens in football. Then it's around coming out and staying calm, composed, a little bit like we did when we went behind against Millwall. Ultimately we disjointed second half, disconnected. It wasn't through a lack of effort or wanting to win. I think it was probably chasing that too much rather than what got us back into the game and ahead against Millwall was sticking to the way we play and what we do, and asking questions in the right way. So it's a good lesson. It's one that we have to take. We have to make sure that we don't want to repeat it again, and moving forward that in those moments again in the future we call on that experience to be better.
Are you confident the defence will tighten up? I was looking back last season. I think you only conceded 3 goals on 2 occasions. You've conceded 3 goals on 2 occasions already this season. What do you account that to?
Yeah, it's difficult to put it on one thing. I think when you look at it, I think it's a combination. Some of us, in terms of we spoke a little bit about bits on set pieces that we need to sharpen up on. I think in terms of refereeing decisions which don't help as well, as we know. And then bits just in terms of I think we pressed really well. I think it's then making sure that if, when we then do fall back into block, how do we stay calm and composed and and defend the box well. There's a bit where you look at it, if you keep repeating some of the stuff we do, teams can't keep taking the chances as well. Coventry had 1 shot on target for the whole game and score it. So I'm sure in future games it's making sure that we give up as few chances, but make sure that we restrict the opposition to very low quality and low volume chances.
I had the pleasure of meeting Luke McNally earlier in the week. How is he settling in, and if necessary, is he ready to start games for Bristol City?
Yeah, he is. I think it was a tough decision. I think Nazy did well, I thought, when he came in against Coventry. In the context of Luke hadn't played 90 minutes on the Wednesday, took a little whack to his knee, but it's the first 90 minutes he'd had in 5 weeks. So I think being able to get him in, get the work into him, physically as well as tactically, how we want to play. He's in a good spot, and he's we've got a great group here. I think he's interacted. He's fitted in really quickly. Obviously, he's already got an established relationship with Twiney and some of the other lads, and again, I think he's fitted in seamlessly.
Yeah, I think he says he's familiar with the likes of Rob Atkinson as well. Talking of which, some more minutes for him this week. How close is he to making the first team squad?
Yeah, he's very close. He's now in contention, to be fair. I think in terms of it's one of those where he's in a position to compete to get in the team, but at the same point you obviously have to be mindful of what his last 18 months has looked like in terms of just the sheer volume of training, volume of match minutes. So I think it's that he'll want to compete and he'll want to push, and rightly so. We want that from everybody in the squad, but at the same point, yeah, you have to respect people's recent history.
How easy or hard is it picking a team for Saturday? You've got players who can play a variety of positions. So Max, Scott Twine, they can play 6, 8, 10 wide. How do you decide where to play them on the pitch? And sometimes is it necessarily putting the team before their individual strengths?
Definitely the last bit. I think the last bit's really important. I think we have to have that culture where everything's about the club and the team before ourselves. That's staff and players. That's non-negotiable for all of us. And then after that, I think it's a combination. The stage of the season, 4 games in, you're still chasing a little bit of relationship development. So when you look at like Twiney and Birdie, for example, have played 1.5, 2 games together. So it's nothing. I think it takes a bit of time when you look at that. Then you throw Sinclair and Fally, more new players into it. That's why it's been quite pleasing seeing the volume of chances we've created off the back of new relationships developing. So I think it's easily the hardest part of my job is picking a team, especially when we've got the depth and the quality that we've got. And then it's, I think that's where the lads understand, and it's really important, that they get the fact that it's about the team and that they're all going to be needed at some point and being ready when they're called upon. And then off the back of that, we do a lot of work in terms of us, how we want to play, what we want it to look like, and trying to get players in positions to bring their strengths and their qualities. We signed them because of what they're good at. How do we now get them in a position to bring that to the team? So there's that. There's how the opposition, how we feel we can hurt them, where their weaknesses are. There's a huge number of factors that go into selecting a team. It's, like I said, it's not something I take lightly. It's the hardest part. But it changes so quickly in football that ultimately what I know is that all the lads get treated correctly, and when called upon, they need to be ready.
This is more of a mid to long term question than short term. But Fally and Sinclair, can you see them as a pairing playing together at some point this season, or is it one or the other?
Yeah, no, I think in terms of what we try to create, in possession at the start, I think at the minute it's the one with, it's been Birdie recently, someone that can, slide him through and create chances that way. But it's not something that we, might go to it in game. It's an option to, to be able to change in game as well. So I think I've said it before in interviews. I'd never rule anything out. I think in terms of, I think we're quite adaptable. We're quite open, which we've shown. We're not fixed and set by it has to be this way. That's what I've quite enjoyed a lot of us so far this season. We've played through teams, we've gone round teams, we've gone over teams, in behind them. We've attacked in a variety of ways. We've pressed. We've needed to block, and I think that's the that needs to be a strength of ours, that we can adapt, but at the same point still have a level of identity to what we try and do.
On the record, when you talk to a head coach or manager, they don't like looking too far ahead. So you've got this 5-game block, some games against Swansea, Cardiff looking ahead. But when it comes to picking a team, do you look at this 5-game block? Like, okay, I might pick these players for that game, and that might be responsible for me picking a game for another, i.e. Blackburn on Saturday?
No, all my energy goes into this Saturday. That's the most important thing. That's the desperate to do well. So I think in terms of all my energy, there's a huge amount of prep work that goes into it, be the training, be the video work, the opposition meetings, the individual work that we do. Put a huge emphasis on us as well. So I sit with the players regularly to go through their clips and how we work. I think priority will always be the next game. Other people behind the scenes will have aspects of their job where they're getting things ahead, so it filters back to us when we need it. But all my energy is going in to try and get a win on Saturday.
And we mentioned the competition. Do you get players knocking on your door going, "Look, Gaffer, give me a chance," or are they showing patience so far, those who aren't involved in the starting 11?
Yeah, of course, there's a level of patience. I think it's always a really important bit, that for me. I think I'd much prefer players to be emotionally annoyed and frustrated that they're not playing than not care. I think creates me more headaches and more conversations and etc. But I'd much prefer that, and much prefer to be clear with the players as to what they need to do and where they're at, and keeping them in a spot where they're ready, because I know I'm going to need them, and the team's going to need them more importantly. So of course not too many yet, but I think there will be times, I know, throughout coming weeks where players will be frustrated at not playing. But ultimately everything comes down to what you then do on the pitch. It's like I said, you'll get the opportunity. You then have to make sure that you grab it and you deliver. And that pressure's on everybody.
And you play an in-form Blackburn side. They've coped well, haven't they? Losing Sammy Schmoddick's unbeaten so far in the Championship. Yeah,
it's another tough game. I think it's so unpredictable. When you look at it in terms of before the season starts, what people think will happen, then a run of games, then even this weekend, you try and call the fixtures. It's impossible. So for me, it's going into the game knowing that we've done all the work that we can. It's going in knowing that we've done the preparation, that we've trained right, that physically we're in a good spot, psychologically we're in a good spot, so that all the work's done. Then for me, the second the whistle starts, is making sure that we grab the opportunity and we transfer all the work and that we've done, and all the the positivity from so far into the game on Saturday, and go and do everything in our power to try and get a win.
Any extra focus at all facing a familiar face in Andy Weimann, who scored that wonder goal in their recent fixture against Burnley?
Yeah, no, I think of course, like with everybody, show Andy the level of respect he deserves in terms of how he's a person, but also as a player. Fantastic goal in the last game. But yeah, no, nothing special. I think it's in terms of making sure that we control what we want. Obviously, some of the lads have an added insight into some of his strengths, what he might try and do. So you get that that added bonus, but it doesn't change the setup of what we try to do.
And I'll just cover my back finally by asking about any other team news. We mentioned Rob possibly back. George Urphy, is he back training with the players?
No, close. He's out on the grass doing straight line work, but he's close. I expect to see him back training with the group next week.
Thank you.
Cheers.